This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
So first of all, Happy New Year to each and every one of you. And to each and every one of you, of course, hope you have a blessed, productive, eventful 2020. Most importantly, a healthy one. Now, just watched an interview with Anthony Joshua on Sky Sports, where he's looking at the last two knockout wins for Deontay Wilder. They didn't watch the whole fight, of course not. They just looked at the knockout where Deontay Wilder beat Breazeale with a knockout, then Luis Ortiz with a knockout. Now, Anthony Joshua, he broke down how that happened and the amateur mistakes that both Ortiz and Dominic Breazeale done. Now, I'll put that in the description box so you can go give it a watch once this video here is finished. Make sure you are subscribed before you head on over there as well. Now, within this one, he's more talking about the Luis Ortiz one, because listen, Luis Ortiz, he won every single round and he made an amateur mistake. He got too confident, which is exactly what it was that I said as well. Ortiz got comfortable, far too confident, forgot where he was in the ring, arms down. Wilder pounced. And this is what Tyson Fury's got to look out for. Now, that bit aside, so he was asked, this is Anthony Joshua, he was asked, so what would you do differently to what Luis Ortiz done? Because Luis Ortiz was winning every single round and then got caught. So what would you do? And his answer was very simple. He wouldn't get to the 7th round because I would have already knocked out Deontay Wilder at that point. So there you go. For Anthony Joshua, he's very, very confident that he gets rid of Wilder, which is what I've said before. You put Wilder in the ring with Anthony Joshua will treat him like he treated Charles Martin. Deontay Wilder will turn into Charles Martin 2.0. He'll go down, and that'll be it. So, ultimately, listen, we've got to see the fight first. Would Wilder win? Would Joshua win? We can all have opinions, but that's all it is. Now, we know Wilder fans, they do like to run around and say how Wilder would knock out AJ. Facts. Now, it's not a fact, it's an opinion. Until it actually happens, then it becomes a fact. All right, so please know your difference between fact and opinion. It's very important. Now, as Joshua was saying there, to neutralise Wilder isn't too difficult. It isn't too difficult. Luis Ortiz was doing it, but then made the fatal mistake. Tyson Fury was doing it in the first fight, then made a fatal mistake. You need to stay switched on. And Anthony Joshua, he's saying that although his tactics were what they were against Ruiz, his tactics will, going forward, be dependent on his opponent. Which is exactly what it is I wanted to hear Anthony Joshua say. Okay, because you can't keep doing the same thing fight after fight. So he can't fight Andy Ruiz Jr. the way that he did and then go fight Dillian Whyte. Then go fight Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury. You have to look at different ways of how you can neutralise your opponent. And for Deontay Wilder, it's very simple. Wilder's kind of like his little bit of a trick before he lands a big right punch is lean up against the rope in that himself. If you notice that when he throws the right hand, 9 out of 10 times, he's actually against the rope, or his opponent is side onto the rope, or with his back against the rope. The ropes come into effect. Okay, now, with Anthony Joshua, he's saying that the fight wouldn't get to that point. He would have already dispatched Deontay Wilder before it gets to the 7th. And I totally agree with him. As I said before, I see Anthony Joshua all wrong for Deontay Wilder. Wilder, he is a one-trick pony as far as the one punch comes into effect, that's for sure. Which is plenty of things that we can break down about Wilder, but ultimately that's his one trick, and it's one hell of a party trick, isn't it? But there are certain things that he does, which is he will try and maneuver his opponent into the position that he wants him with the jab. He just flicks the jab. He just puts the jab out there. Because Wilder, he doesn't throw a jab to hurt his opponent. Not at all. He doesn't use the Lennox Lewis every punch should sting you, as in the jab is there for a reason, okay? Wilder, he does it to maneuver his opponent into position. Wilder, he has this gaunt look on his face like he's tired, but he's not necessarily tired. His opponents fall into that trap, and that's what Joshua's saying, that he will do things to Wilder that Wilder won't be able to cope with, and Wilder will get caught, and Wilder will go down. Listen, again, we've seen Deontay Wilder wobbled on plenty of occasions. Against Eric Molina, he was doing a silly dance, like Bambi had just been born. Against Harold Sconiers, he hit the deck. Against Luis Ortiz, he was out on his feet in the first fight. in round number 7. So Wilder is vulnerable. Yes, Joshua is also vulnerable. But again, Joshua's still learning. And as Joshua said within this interview, that he's still learning. He's nowhere near 42, 43 fights that Wilder's had. He's nowhere even close to it yet. But yet, when Wilder talks about one face, one name, one champion, and how I want to unify, but why is it he hasn't unified? And that's what Joshua's saying. Why haven't you unified when you've had that many fights? I have. I also want to unify, and I have been unifying, and I ain't difficult to find. Come see me. That's what he's telling Wilder, and he's saying that get Wilder in the ring, he ain't getting to 7 rounds. I would have already knocked him out at that point. Very simple, isn't it? But to get Wilder in the ring, what do? I mean, there's not too much you can do. Wilder, he doesn't want to fight a killer. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to fight somebody like a Joshua or a Dillian Whyte, somebody who could starch him. He doesn't want to do that. You could say Luis Ortiz, but again, Luis Ortiz hasn't beaten any elite fighters either. So with Dillian Whyte, listen, I want to see Dillian Whyte get that WBC world title shot. That's what I want to see. But ultimately, with Anthony Joshua, he wants that final belt. He wants to become undisputed. And he's saying to Wilder, stop messing about. We haven't offered you $100 million. You turned it down. So what is it that Anthony Joshua's got to do? I don't know what it is that Joshua's got to do. I mean, if you notice before Joshua rematched Ruiz, when Wilder was running around saying how, well, Andy Ruiz Jr., he's exposed Anthony Joshua and he'll do him even easier in the rematch. And I want the winner. In other words, he wanted Andy Ruiz Jr. for Undisputed. Joshua wins. Wilder ain't said a peep other than criticise Ruiz. He hasn't said a word about it. One face, one name. He hasn't said a word. Because he's scared of Anthony Joshua. And I wholeheartedly agree with Anthony Joshua. You put Deontay Wilder in the ring with him, Joshua will starch him out. Don't think that he's going to be fighting against Wilder the way they did against Ruiz, because it wouldn't work. It would work for so long because Wilder has no skill. And Wilder does fight very, very scared. Wilder's looking for that right hand. That's all he's doing. If you neutralise that right hand, he loses most fights that he's in. He loses them. In all the title fights that Deontay Wilder's had, which is, what was it, 10 now? He's only won one where he was actually winning the rounds. And that was the first fight with Breazeale when he won the title. Since then, he's lost virtually every round that he's fought outside of the knockout round. He's lost all of them. So, anyway, Anthony Joshua says that Wilder will not make it to the 7th round with him. And I agree with him. Much like if Dillian Whyte fought Deontay Wilder. Wilder would not make it that far with Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte would starch him within 3 rounds. Guaranteed. Wouldn't be surprised if a first round knockout win for Dillian Whyte. You may not agree with me. You may agree with me. Ultimately, do I know? No, not for a fact. It's just an opinion. So anyway, that's my thoughts. You drop me yours. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the very next video.